we're still
if you could just say your name, please, so we can.
Corey Hardin, and we're still not clear how many people are being paid to be here.
Is that your question? If that's your, you can compound your question in your 2 minutes. So that's one question. You want to know how many people are paid to be here?
I'm
Okay.
asking that the student's question be fully answered. She was wondering how many people are paid to be here by Honua.
Okay, can you share your other questions all together in your 2 minutes and then we'll
Okay,
get to
my
them?
other question is, there was a spill reported November 9 at Honua. What operation was being done at the time? Did Honua have permits? Was it following guidelines? And what is being done to evaluate the effects of the spill?
Okay, so two-part question. One is, how many paid Honua employees are here? Second part is the November 9th, did I get the date right? The November 9th spill. And say your name too, please.
Kevin Owen, I'm the plant manager. Honua employees, would you guys please stand? Up. Okay, thank you. All right, so the question was there a spill?
Hold this up.
Was there a spill? Yes, there was an inadvertent spill last week, and it was had to do with the chemical cleaning of the process. The solution was neutralized before it was inadvertently released, and we are under investigation right now at the present time, and we will submit a report to the state.
Excuse me.
Okay, so hold on, we're gonna, sir,
Honua knew exactly what they were doing
Sir?
on this discharge,
sir,
and what you folks are telling the public of the discharge, the amount of discharge, that is just a fraction.
sir,
You folks knew exactly what you folks was doing because that hose, that discharge hose was camouflaged, thrown over that wall.
How do you know?
So I don't want us to end up in a free-for-all here too. I want us to stay civil, so I don't want you then throwing questions over here. So,
$7,000 that you claim that the discharge into the ocean is just a fraction.
He works at Honua, he knows.
right, I don't want this to start yelling back and forth, so he answered.
You don't have a microphone.
Great. So let's not devolve. Let's stay civil, folks. Okay, so I think we were into the third row here. I see. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go around each row once, and I'm going to circle back around because there are a lot of people and a lot of people here who want to ask questions. And we may not be able to get to all of you before noon, but we're going to try to get to a lot. So there's 2 people in this row who want to. We're going to go one row at a time. I'll circle back around. So yeah, because I just wanted to be fair and try to get to everyone in the room. So which of you 2 wants to go? Well, which are you going to go first? Yeah, I'm just going to go around the room and try to, and then I'll circle back around.
So my question is for the Department of Health members that are here. Hold on, I'm going to look at my notes right here. While Dennis Pomo was up, he actually stated that this power plant is no different from any other power generating facility in the state. That's one of the key triggers for EIS, and somehow that's still not done, and would really answer a whole lot of questions everybody else in here has that we wouldn't have to be in this meeting for if that was done to begin with. And on top of that, to issue a permit and then afterwards say we're going to make it conditional and go look at it, that doesn't really seem very responsible to me. So can you guys give me
Okay, so who from DOH is going to take that one? And can you say your name again, because new people came in, and it would be helpful if you say your name too. Oh, what was your name, sir? Kealoha. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. For those who don't know about what an environmental assessment or EA or environmental impact statement is basically to look at a facility that potentially could have a variety of different impacts, not just environmental, it could be socioeconomic, it could be traffic, it could be a bunch of other things for affecting the community or the surrounding community. Right now, the Department of Health is not looking at an EIS. We're more looking at, from our role as a regulatory agency, and that's why you have the various permits that are being applied for right now. The EIS question, the EA question is sort of a broader question to be answered, not just from the Department of Health standpoint, but it also affects other agencies within the state as well as the county as well. So right now, we're not contemplating an EIS.
Why? That was not an answer.
Okay, so we're gonna go to fourth row here. Anyone has a question? Here's what I'm gonna do. Let me explain again my process, okay? This is what I'm doing. I'm going row by row, both sides. When I get to the back row, I'm gonna come to the front again, and I'm just gonna keep going through the room like this to see if we can get as many questions as possible. With this big group, this is the best way I can see how to deal with it. In this row,
I could go backwards, you didn't mean
I said which of you are gonna go?
first, and then I'll hand you the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Which of you is going to go first in this round? I apologize, ma'am. I was not clear in my communications.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so I'm Ray, I'm from Kapa'oloa, but I serve Hawaii every morning. And my question is, I'm hearing questions about why are we not doing this permitting prior to instead of after? I have a two-part question. I understand that the spill was inadvertent. I was in the water on Saturday morning. I got out because there was a keiki contest there. They were in the water the whole day. What are y'all going to do to inform us so we're not soaking our babies in whatever parts per million are in the water? A lot of us are getting sick there. I'm not saying it's you, but we don't need to contribute to what's already there. So my question is, how come we found out kind of through the grapevine, the coconut wireless, and we weren't informed directly that there might be some serious hazard to us and to those babies? And will you answer it?
Thank you. Who's going to answer this question? DOH or Honua? And again, just say your name each time, please.
Kevin Owen, and again, as I said, the solution was neutralized. It was citric acid, which is commonly found in orange juice, and soda ash.
Oh, speak. You got to really put your mouth into the mic because if people are hard of hearing, can't
The
hear.
concept was citric acid, which is commonly found in orange juice, and soda ash to bring the pH back up to a normal level.
How does it respond to how we get informed?
Oh. Is there anyone who can speak to that, how people might be able to be informed?
We did notify the state that very same day, so the state did.
Okay, so we're going to move on to this side here. I think we did these first two rows, and now we're in this one. We have another student from Laboehoe. Okay, say your name.
Hi, I'm Sayla. I am a junior in the Hawaii Charter School, and my question is to Honua. Are you going to keep tabs on how much trees you replant after you chop down, and see if they will regrow and filter the air, so there won't be that much carbon? Will we keep tabs on it?
Right, so your question is about replant. Are the trees that are cut down is there going to be a continual replanting of the trees? Okay, who can speak to that?
Warren Lee, Honua, relative to the tree planting.
Speak up a little louder. You got to speak louder.
Relative to tree replanting, yes, there are managed eucalyptus plants, the forests that were grown on the Hamakua coast in replacement of the sugar that was seized. Our plan is for the eucalyptus that we could use for biomass. We will be replanting. We have looked at the feedstock process, which means that when you get into the forest, and you have the harvest operation with the equipment that may be using diesel to operate. You look at fertilizer, we have to make decisions. We're going to use an organic fertilizer or a normal type fertilizer. So when you take all of that carbon into consideration, for example, if we use 20 trees for biomass energy production, we may, based on the studies we're looking at, we may have to replant 21 eucalyptus trees. So we have a forester, PhD on staff to manage the forest and the replenishment of the forest. So relative to carbon dioxide, some of the studies show is that if you have a mature tree, which some of them are now 30 to 40 years old, they should have been processed many years ago when they were planted. There is a rate of carbon dioxide sequestration with the new saplings coming up, and my understanding is that that rate is probably higher than the older trees that you have standing. So the idea is to, how do we harvest the trees before they, everything, trees die, and we want to make sure that we have this cycle going on, and that's part of the Honua story and the plan to operate.
Okay, we're going to go to the fourth row, and then I forgot, we're going to take some of the written people for the shy people. So we're here in the fourth row. I see only one hand in this row. We're going to come back around to the rows if we have time. So, sir, can you pass that down? Sorry, I'm
Hi, my name is Maurice. Moved here from Chicago about 2.5 years ago. I worked at power plants, nuclear, coal, and oil-fired power plants from 1992 to 2006. And not a single one of them was in compliance with the EPA. Now, anyone can take 10 minutes and look on the EPA's website and look at the fossil fuel power plants in Hawaii, and not one of them has been fully in compliance for the last 3 years. Now, 2 of them have been in non-compliance every quarter for the last 3 years. One of those I looked at had a major violation in 2014. They found the violation because they did an on-site visit inspection. They have not done an on-site inspection at the facility since 2014. So that's the only reason why we can assume that they don't have any major violations. So this is leading up to me asking, what guarantee do we have that this facility is going to be in compliance? And when we don't even have an EPA that is going to come and look, it's purely self-regulation. Now I gotta say, I stand with all you workers wanting jobs, needing jobs, and this idea, this plant is good, it's a good idea. But in practice, it just doesn't work. We should have spent the money on solar or wind. For the same money, I don't know what the price tag on this is, because there's been misinformation going around even in the paper, but I heard 210 million. We could have done solar for 60.
You're
But
at 30
even
seconds.
if that was wrong, let's say it's 120, so what? We would have saved money. So my question is, what guarantee do we have about compliance and that you will do everything you say you're going to do?
Who's going to take that?
Yes.
Someone's going to take it.
Thank you for your comment on non-compliance. I think you mentioned Hawaii Electric. I'm not sure what fossil
Speak
fuel.
up. Speak up, Warren.
Is that the combustion turbine? In Hawaii, or Hawaii, not Hawaii. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, let me tell you how this plant is being designed and being constructed. As far as emissions, there is a system called CEMS, meaning the acronym for Continuous Emissions Monitoring, where all the gases, when out the stack, is being monitored on a continuous basis and recorded. So any violations or exceedances are determined. If they're recorded, are reported to the Department of Health. So it's a self-reporting system, not necessarily somebody coming out and inspecting every 2 years. So I'm not sure what instance that you're referring to. Of course, I don't know. Haven't been in the business for a number of years. But there is in our systems, there's a scrubber, there is a electric precipitator which takes the particles out that are not burned, will collect it, and that'll be properly disposed of. So it's a highly, very, what we call a quote-unquote clean plant. And again, back to your original question, non-compliance, yes, we have continuous emissions monitoring systems.
Okay, so we're gonna do some of the written questions now. Joanna's gonna, she's grouped them and sometimes, do you have another written question? No, I'm sorry, we're gonna go to the written questions now. So she's gonna come up, like, if we got 3 that were very similar, we're gonna combine them into 1.
Actually 4. So what are the 4 chemicals used to protect the pipes during the water processing? What are the 4 chemicals used to protect the pipes during the water processing? We know the manufacturer's warnings about the dangers of these chemicals individually. What studies have you done to look at the combinations and interactions of these chemicals?
Oh, I want to do a little housekeeping here. What I'm seeing is a problem at the door, so we have to keep this passageway open. If you still, does anyone have a seat next to them open? Keep your hands up. There's seats in here. We need to keep. Can you wait a second, please? Kuhan, sweetie.
On the site.
Can you wait?
And I'd like to hear from the workers on the site about this cover-up of the chemical spill.
Kuhan, can you please?
Our environment is more important than only tests.
Can you please try wait? Thank you. I want to make sure I want to make sure. No, I want to make sure.
No cover up. No cover up.
Take the microphone, please, and tell the people about our resources.
Go on. Let's keep it civil. What I'm concerned right now about is what's happening at the doorway. I don't want anyone who's in this meeting to get injured. Then everybody who's here step in and keep going in. I don't want to have people get tripped over or injured. If there is someone who needs to sit down, I think there are still some seats. Can you raise your hand if you have a seat next to you? If somebody needs to sit down, please come take one of these seats. I want to make sure everyone is safe in this room. Thank you. Okay, so now, please, I don't want to degenerate into a yelling match, please. I really want you to not do what you're doing right now. And I'll tell you why. I want to keep orderly meeting, and if we start doing this and I start letting everyone do this, the people who have questions that they want answered are not going to be able to have them be answered. So I'd like everyone to just take a deep breath.
I apologize.
I
came here to hear both sides and learn on this thing. This constant interruption makes it very difficult for those that came here with an open mind to make a decision. So
Thank you. So everyone, if you can try wait, okay? So we are still in the public information meeting. This is a Q&A meeting. I see that there's new people arriving. This is not the public hearing yet. The public hearing will be at 1 o'clock. So if you're coming in and you need a place to seat, there are some chairs available. We really have to keep the door and the walkways open so we stay safe. I know there's still some seats over on this side, so if you need to sit, please move over this way. Okay, so we have a question on the floor about the chemicals. And do you have the question still in your head? Okay, please respond.
Okay, so as I had on the slide, there's 4 additives, products that are used as part of the boiler makeup water process. Each of those products are considered non-hazardous. They don't contain Clean Water Act listed chemicals above the minimus amounts that are defined by both OSHA and EPA. The compounds that are in there, although the MSDSs or the safety data sheets, the manufacturers put wording on there. When they talk about individual compounds, something like sulfuric acid, if sulfuric acid was to be
placed in the environment as a pure 100% ingredient, it would say that it would harm the environment or kill fish and such. But for example, all of those are less than actually 0.1%, and equivalent to the 0.00002% of what's actually going into the UICs. And actually, within the boiler water makeup or within the boiler tubes itself, the chemicals are designed to remove scale, to prevent corrosion. It's really to protect the pipes, to keep the water at its purity that it needs to be. And then a portion of that is only a portion of that is actually injected or blown down from the boiler system at a very low quantity before it goes in. It's also filtered. So for some of those impurities that are removed, it is then filtered so that the solids are removed so it doesn't enter into the waste stream. And then the other compounds are there to react and form things like carbon dioxide or nitrogen. Others are actually vented out when some of the chemical products are used to eliminate air and oxygen and get vented out. It doesn't actually go into the water. So they're all, and Nalco was involved with the process. We have selected the latest and greatest state-of-the-art chemicals that they produce or products that they produce in order for the water to be at the purity that we need for the boiler.
Okay, so we're going to do another set of written questions, and then we'll move back to, I think we're on row 5 on each side.
Okay, what process is...
Okay, hold on. It's hard to hear in here, and especially for those who are hard to hear, and with more people in here, it becomes even more hard to hear. So speak up in there, and if the audience could keep their voices quiet so we can hear her. Okay, wait. I'm not gonna start taking yelling questions. So I'm hearing a follow-up question of what the names of the questions are. What the names of the chemicals are. Is anyone able to answer that?
They don't want to, for a reason.
Yeah, hold on a second.
Okay, so out of the 4 products that are being used in the boiler tubes, the first one is an oxygen scavenger. It's injected into the tubes to remove excess oxygen, and it's a product that's at 5 to 10% based on the MSDS. It's called carbohydrazide. Okay. So it's already at a very low concentration. The rest of the product is essentially water. And that's what in the oxygen, the excess actually gets vented through the air. So it's reacting to have that excess oxygen be emitted from the system. The only other one of the 4 additives that actually have an ingredient listed on there above the de minimis is the neutralizing to neutralize carbonic acid, and that's a product or a chemical known as morpholine. And that's at a 40 to 70%. Morpholine. MORPHOLINE. None of these are listed as hazardous substances on the Clean Water Act, so they're not regulated substances that go into the discharge by the Clean Water Act.
Okay, now we're going to go to some other questions. Wait, I'm sorry. I don't want to start. I don't want to degenerate into yelling at each other. Let's show the world how we do it in Hawaii. Okay. Let's be aloha here. Let's be aloha. Let's not do what's happening in the national arena, which is people yelling and screaming and just behaving incivil. Let's stay civil, please. So we're gonna go. Excuse me. Try wait. Just try wait. So here's the deal. Remember that we can agree to disagree? It's fine that we don't all agree. It's fine that there's lots of different perspectives in this room. It's fine that there are people here because they don't know how they feel yet. There's people here who work for Honua. There's people here who are protesting. There are students here who are trying to learn and understand what's going on in their community. So we have, I'll tell you where we are in our time. We have, it's at 11:25, so we have 35 more minutes together to do Q&A. And then we're going to have to end. So what I would like to do is I would like to get to more of your questions. And then in the afternoon, all the people who are here who want to give testimony can give testimony.
You shouldn't be interfering with that. If they ask for the 4 chemicals, give them the 4 groups of chemicals.
Okay, they're not I'll give you the product names because the 4 products don't contain all of them have listed hazardous substances in them. Okay, so the first product in the boiler water makeup is called Eliminox. It's a Nalco product. The second product is called Nalco Eliminox, ELIMIN-OX. And that's used as an oxygen scavenger. The second product is called Nalco 352, and that's used to neutralize carbonic acids within and break down. The third product is Nalco BC2036, a scale and corrosion inhibitor. Nalco, N-A-L-C-O, and then the B is in boy, C is in cat, 2036 is the product name. And the fourth one for the boiler is Next Guard, N-E-X-T, Guard 22300, and that's a polymer protect against deposition. And then for the non-contact cooling water, there's one product which is used as a dispersant for minerals, and that is called 3D Trasar, T-R-A-S-A-R.
Disperser for what?
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kapu. I'm sorry, I just wanted to step in for a little bit and call out my Fukari name. My name is Lito Archangel, or Archangel, depending on how much Filipino you get, how you pronounce them. I'm the president of Pepekeo Community Association. Therefore, I have no option to choose sides. My kuleana, along with my VP Jared, is to listen to the people from both sides. We get people, friends, family, relatives, classmates working for Honua. We get friends, family, classmates, relatives that were against Honua. My kuleana is for listening. My kuleana is for also to be able to care for each and every one of you, whether you for or against. That is our laveno, how we was taught as youth. For those of you who are living here and you feel overwhelmed with this emotion to want to, how we say, ku'e, yeah? We gotta remember aloha, like Auntie said, aloha. Do we all understand the definition of aloha?
No.
It started off as an acronym. E, akahai, to be kind. Lokahi, unity, harmony. Ha'aha'a, to be humble, to be modest. Olu, to be pleasant, to be comfortable. And ahonui, to be patient. And right now, I'm seeing a lot of that stuff that people are yelling out. Hey, this is wrong, that is wrong. Like you said, we will have a time and a place to do all this. But if we don't practice this aloha, then how different we are than every other state in the United States of America, let alone the world. So all I ask, my question to everybody here, including myself, can we please practice aloha and love one another with that?
Thank you. This next question will be for Norris, and at the end of that, if you could start coming up. What process is in place to cool the water before injection? If the water is too hot when it is injected, how will people know what is the monitoring system What is the estimated temperature and pollutant levels of the discharge water from the plant and the estimated impact to the ocean's temperature and to sea life and coral? Approximately how many UIC wells are permitted and in operation on the Big Island in the state of Hawaii?
I didn't catch all the questions. Let me go from the back to the last one.
You can try to read them
Forward.
and speak up.
Okay, approximately how many UIC wells are permitted and operation on Big Island than in the state of Hawaii? The Big Island has the largest percentage of injection wells. I believe there are about 6,000 some odd injection wells on the Big Island. Primarily, they're drainage injection wells for stormwater. So those can be found along roadways. I think there is about a little over 1,000 of those 6,000 that are what we call sewage injection wells, and just a handful of industrial injection wells. Okay. The next question is, what process is in place to cool the water before injection? What's proposed to us is no cooling, no specific process to cool the water down. Okay, you want me to read that?
You want the question repeated or you wanted the answer repeated? Answer. Can you say the answer again? I think they didn't quite get it.
There's no cooling process that is proposed for this cooling water. There's this smaller amount that I think Dennis mentioned that made up the 0.2%. There's some cooling through what they call a discharge sump. But the primary wastewater that's being discharged, the cooling water, non-contact cooling water, is just pulled up, processed through their system, and back down into the injection wells. So maybe Dennis can explain that a little better. Let me get to another question though. What is the estimated temperature and polluted levels of the discharge water from the plant? And I can't read this. And the estimated impact of the ocean's temperature and sea life and coral. Okay, they did a thermal effects report, and that kind of touches upon what the groundwater model predicts for that activity.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bill Cutler with Integral Consulting. I'm a geologist, mostly groundwater. Did my graduate work at UH, and I've been looking at some simple models to understand the injection of the heated water. And we have a model that we've built to try to understand how it will be affected in the aquifer system. So just in general, if you're not familiar, an aquifer is the rock that has pores in it, pore space where the water can move through. There's also fractures and lava tubes and small holes and the like. And the warm water will go into the aquifer, and based on our modeling, which has conservative assumptions that it's going to move towards the ocean and not disperse very much, so that's more conservative. And on average, it would take about, we believe, about 50 days, about 2 months, to reach the bottom of the ocean, where it will then discharge and mix with the seawater. And we've done some calculations on what the temperature of the water would be at the base of the ocean. And within the bottom couple feet of the ocean. Our model tells us that the highest increase in temperature will be, and this is in Celsius, will be like less than 0.2. So 1/5 of a degree in Celsius. So in Fahrenheit, it'd be like 0.3 degrees. And that's the difference between without putting in the injection of the hotter water versus not running the UIC. And there's a lot of detail behind this. I just wanted to give a high-level overview, but I'll be around all day, so if you guys want to go into any details on it, I'll be glad to discuss with you.
Okay, so I think we were here. I think we were here to. We're going to move on to other questions because I've still got half the room to get through here. So if you would write it down, that would be great.
I asked that a scientist answer it, and here it is.
So top story with him afterwards, please, so we can get to other people in the room, please. Thank you. So
I'm Sherry Mees from Happy and Care on Naka of Sugar Mill Road, just miles from where the plant is. The UIC has been approved for construction. DLNR has not finished their baseline aquatic study. And EPA and EIS is not required underneath state and local regulations. What is that? I live in California. I live in Washington State, not far from the Hanford site. There are a lot of violations. Who will be monitoring and what consistency and what frequency? Who will be monitoring this if the EPA is not done, if the EIS is not done, if none of these things are looked at? What is the depth? You don't have enough to go on. Are we going to look at it after the degradation? Who is going to monitor? Morris is going to answer that. Morris.
Who's taking this one? Someone from DOH or from Honua?
Keith Kalwoka, Department of Health. Regarding the EIS, I explained it earlier, the EIS from the Department of Health standpoint, we're typically one of the reviewers of the EIS. We don't become what we call the approving agency for the EIS. That's determined by not just the state, but it's also a county function as well. As far as the monitoring of it, the facility, like Honua says, they have a continuous monitoring system for various emissions. To our permitting process, we have to make sure that those conditions are met. We do make monitoring and inspections of the facilities, and it's air, water, solid waste.
There's all kinds of different monitoring requirements. There's a water quality, periodic water quality monitoring that they got to do every quarterly, maybe every 6 months or yearly. There's periodic inspections that they need to do. I believe we're going to be requiring every week that you do some kind of recorded inspection of the injection wells. That's just to make sure that the wells are operating okay, they're not overflowing or whatnot. There's annual performance evaluations that need to be done. Recording of flows, recording of temperatures. We're probably going to put in temperature limits and flow limits into the UIC permit. And then
Can we please let's not calling it out.
Probably continuous monitoring. I haven't set the permit conditions. I don't know what the limitations are. Okay? possible, yes. But I need to work out and see how the system is set up, what can be done. And do it. Anyway, if I can't do it one way, I can probably do it another way. Okay? So that I've been a regulator for coming close to 30 years. I think I got some of the angles and tricks to properly monitor it. But I do want to kind of touch upon what another speaker had once mentioned, and just to confirm, yes, the facility will be doing self-monitoring and reporting whatever they monitor to us. So we're going to have place a lot of faith on the laboratories that are doing the work, the operational staff that are recording flows and temperatures and whatnot. That's the nature of environmental permitting. That it is correct. We need to do self-monitoring, and it's our job to review the information and see if it makes sense. If it makes sense, after when we go out to an inspection or something, we go and we verify that that's what their monitoring is in accordance to what the permit requires. So there's many things in the permit. It's hard for me to, if we can talk about it after this, I can get into more specifics about what particular concern you might have. But that's what I want to.
Thank you. Okay, we were on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th row here. Is there anyone who wants to speak here? Oh, we did the 5th row here. So we're just doing one person per row because we can't get to all the questions today. It's just impossible. There's too many people here. So we've got, are you okay then? Hold on, I'm gonna have to come to the other side. We're getting more traffic jams here. There you go, ma'am. That's your name too.
Aloha, my name is Linda Lincoln, and I live in the Pepekeo Shoreline Subdivision. I'm probably a block from Honua, and I'm curious as to why an environmental impact statement has never been done. There seems to be so many unanswered questions and concerns. I just thought an environmental impact statement was the way to go to find out. Help us as a community to come together. Right now, we're going by you guys self-monitoring yourselves. I'm not sure I feel that's going to work. So anyway, I'm just curious, why isn't an environmental impact statement being done? And I don't know if it's the Department of Health I direct that to, but why not?
Thank you. Good question. The environmental assessment and environmental impact statement falls under the Hawaii Environmental Protection Act. It is a very commonly misinterpreted and misunderstood rule or law that we have in Hawaii. But when this project started, I put up on the slide earlier that we, for 10 years, more than 10 years, and back in 2009, through the Office of Environmental Quality Control, which is what facilitates the process for EAs and EISs, a technical review board was put together. DOH participated, agencies participated, in which the project itself went under that review process to see if there was a trigger that required an environmental assessment. And based on, the project hasn't changed since then. The only thing that has changed from when that was done was the UIC wells. The UIC wells are not a trigger for doing an environmental assessment or environmental impact. There's 9 triggers within the statute that generally are for things of using state public monies, state lands, federal lands, etc. which the project's not. So it was vetted. There's a letter from the Department of Health stipulating that, no EA was required, provided the project, stays in the same nature that it is today, which it is.
Okay, we're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 row. Who would like to be a questioner in this number 6 row?
Aloha, my name is Maya Parrish, and my question is for the uncle in the orange hat sitting in the front row, right over here. Earlier, he spoke up and stated that the recent spill on the 9th at Honua was not inadvertent or accidental. He also stated that the claim from Honua about the amount of the spill was a fraction of the actual amount that was spilled. So I'd love to hear more about how he knows this and more details about that assertion. Thank you.
Dave.
Let's speak right up and louder.
My name is Dave. I work at the power plant. We came about this discharge. Was having lunch 10 feet from that running stream, which was pretty nasty, and we felt responsible. It was our responsibility to our kids, our grandkids, and our resources. Yes, I'm grateful to have a job. Thank you for keeping me employed. But this is totally uncalled for.
Number 6 row here. Is there someone who has a question in this row? On the other side, I've got to make my way over there.
Gilbert, Timota, born and raised PPQ, and the one was complaining about Cuca. How long you live there? If you was there during the sugar plantation, the ocean was really not going that way. It's still not going that way. It's going Hamakua. It doesn't go to Cuca way. And if you believe it, go back home.
Okay, we're on row 7 here for questions. I see 2 here. I'm going to go, she had her hand up first, so I'm just going to go over here. Thanks for your patience, everyone. It's hard to get to this many people.
Hi, good morning. Allison English, science educator, very concerned resident of the Honua coastline. My question is for Honua. You guys mentioned 4 chemicals, and then when pressed, you went on to mention 7 of them. Page 5 of your permit actually lists 16 chemicals, and I'd like to read them off to you because they have things like OSHA, acute warning, hazardous warning from your manufacturers, Nalco. May I read the list? Yes. Sulfonic acid is an acid reagent. It's an OSHA hazardous substance. EPA immediate acute health hazard, harmful to aquatic life with long-lasting effects. 6 out of the 16 chemicals named, 11 of them have that same warning. Why are you saying 4 and then you named 7 and you're not making this public information? Shall I go on?
Yeah. Yeah.
The next one is Nalco, NexGuard 2230. Prevent material from entering sewers or waterways. This is from the manufacturer's warning. Third, Nalco Permatreat. Do not contaminate surface water. Manufacturer's warning. Bromocerol green, methyl red indicator powder, OSHA hazardous substance, EPA immediate acute health hazard from your manufacturer's warning. Okay. Phenolphthalein indicator powder, OSHA hazardous substance, EPA immediate acute health hazard, delayed chronic health hazard. It's the same over and over again. You guys mentioned 4. Then when press mentioned 7, there are 16 on page 5 of your permit. Why is this information being held from the public?
Thank you. I understand your confusion, and let me go through. So if you recall, I had the slide up there. We talked about 4 additives that are for the boiler water, that go into the boiler water tubes for maintaining quality in the tubes. Those are the 4 products that I mentioned earlier with those names. The 5th product is the one that is used for the dispersing of the minerals for the non-contact cooling. Okay. Now, each of those 5 don't contain Clean Water Act listed chemicals that are listed on the MSDSs that are above the de minimis levels. The other chemicals that you were describing are on the list. Originally it was in the application, and those are the ones that are used in the laboratory. And as you recall, we said we're looking at alternatives to not discharge those into the UIC. And so those chemicals will not, it's really going to be limited to the 5 at this point that we have for water purification and for the non-contact cooling. The other chemicals will not go into the UICs.
What alternatives are there? Where else can you put them?
Just dispose of them off-site at a disposal facility. Because we're evaluating different options right now.
Okay, remember, we have 10 more minutes. We have 10 more minutes together in this Q&A session, and so I want to get some more questions. We are in this last row here.
Hey, how's it? So the chemicals you talking about, you know, they're not going to be put in the ocean, is what you're saying. But you know, if you're going to have them still here on the island, so what? You know, it's one island. You know, where are you going to take it to? Oahu, still Hawaii. So what? You know, like I just don't understand how that's going to help much. But the other thing that I wanted to ask is about the dioxins in the smoke, which permeate, you know, and build up in our communities, around our homes, around everything, and give everyone cancer. So do we need more cancer?
No.
So anyway, that's my question. To please explain about the dioxins, because I know those are going to be coming out too, and I want to know. I know you got scrubbers, but I know it's not going to eliminate all of it.
I'll let Kevin, the plant manager. I'm not the air person. I'm the water and land person. So.
All right. First of all, dioxins, they occur in just about everything, right? Anything that decays and stuff like that. We will be testing for dioxins during the commissioning phase when we do start up, and to make sure that they are below the limits.
Okay, so let's see. Let's go to the back wall, since they're not a row. Let's go to this half of the back wall. I see a question here. Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Rayton Keeney. You can see a lot of concern here in the room. I'm curious about the underground injection well line, the UIC line that runs along the Honua coast, pretty much